Okay, your thoughts are electrical. That's why when you have a brain injury, they have all these wires to your head. They're trying to, see if there's any activity, right?
Right.
Electrical current, right?
Right.
When your heart stops, if you were not energy, like a battery, if a battery goes dead, I'm going to connect it to another battery to
Right.
jump start it, right? So
Right.
why do they place an electric current at the heart to jump start the heart if the heart is not electricity?
Right.
Okay, so I'm not going to put a piece of
Right.
wood to make something that you know what I'm saying. So the heart, the heart is magnetism. It's magnet. It's magnetic. What you think is electrical. What you feel is magnetic, attracting. So together, your thought and your emotion is sending a signal. We are like a cell phone tower.
Right.
We're always emitting a signal, a vibration. So thought, electric, feelings, magnetic. So what I'm thinking and feeling is creating a vibration. And they say that the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain when it comes to electromagnetism, and that what you feel can be measured 10 miles radius.
How do you bridge that gap between somebody who's uninitiated, who really doesn't understand their existence from a scientific perspective? That's what I mean by uninitiated. They live on the physical realm exclusively. Now, how do you then introduce someone who's uninitiated to real life, which is the understanding of your life from a divine, spiritual, scientific perspective? And I want to couple that with the power and importance of environment.
Mm-hmm. I want to say, I'm going to start with our brother, Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he's a young man who went jogging in this area. I'm here in the area that he was killed. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging, and the three white men, um, they pursued him, that he wasn't supposed to be in this area, right? And then killed him. Of course, this was made international, national news. Um, Lots of people got involved, of course, and then we just recently got his murderers convicted. Now, here's a young black male jogging, but they see him running, right? So he's a threat in their mind. He stole something,
Right.
or he could even be here. But he's jogging for what? Health reasons, right?
Right.
Okay. And I was on a movie set or television set that Jay-Z and Will Smith produced. They put up $35 million to tell Emmett Till's story,
Right.
and to tell it on national primetime television, which it aired on ABC. If you haven't seen it, it's called Women of the Movement. And Women of the Movement is the Emmett Till and Mamie Till story. It's still available on Hulu. And I was on that set working alongside the lead actress who played Mamie Till, the mother of Emmett Till and the mother of the civil rights movement. So Emmett Till, a little 14-year-old boy who, was just being a boy down in Mississippi, found himself kidnapped in the middle of the night by white men who murdered him for whistling at a white woman. Now, I'm on that set and I'm working as the stand-in for Mamie Till in a production role. And It was also simultaneously, it was also the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary of Ahmaud Arbery's death. So I took time off of the set to fly back here to be with his family. Now, his family are like the aunt and uncle of W.F. Muhammad, okay?
Right.
So they haven't uninitiated, like you said, they don't know. But I came, what I did was I met them. They were having a memorial for Ahmaud in the community at a mural outside. And I do yoga, I do crystal sound healing. They don't know anything about yoga and crystal
Right.
sound healing.
Right.
So they're not going to come to the yoga studio.
Right.
So what I did was I took the yoga mats, I took the blankets, I took the bolsters, I took them outside and I took them into the community and set a yoga studio, if you will, right up outside in that community, right during the services that were to in memory of Ahmaud. And I brought the gong, I brought everything out. And I really wanted his father to make sure. They were like, what are we going to do? Now you're asking them to lay down in a community. Now their loved one was just killed. So they
Mm-hmm.
really trust you to be able to lay down and close their eyes in that community on that grass, right? So what you do is you meet people where they are.
Right.
Brother Jabril, and if some of you don't know, I'm also, before I became Sister Iman, I was Sister Latanja Muhammad, the author of Closing the Gaps introduction. You probably remember that.
Yes.
But Brother Jabril used to always tell me, you have to be able to prove this teaching with a blade of grass. That's how he trained us. That's how so anything that you hear, you could always hear the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you should be able to mic it all the way down as simple so that a person who had never heard it can understand. Back in the day, they used to say, make it plain. Okay. Malcolm used to say, make it plain so that anybody can see. So you meet the person where they are. So we just said, we just want to give you all a healing. They know what a healing is. We need, and all the auntie said was, we need that, baby. We need that.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, here's what we're going to do. And they trusted me because people can feel if you're sincere.
Yes.
Right. And when they got up, they were blown away. They said, babe, I went down with a pain in my back. And I've been having that pain. And when I got up, I don't have that pain anymore. The father of Ahmaud Arbery, I really wanted him to come back. He had to leave, but he said he was coming back. And he did come back because I wanted the Black male. See, it seems like we're being left out. They're being left out of this. So no. He needs the healing. He came back and got the sound healing as well. So what I do is I just meet them where they are. If they don't know, I don't speak that type of language. I don't say chakra. I'll say, or I don't say this is Reiki. I'll say this is a relaxation session. They know
Right.
what relax is. Okay.
Right.
I don't use, if I'm speaking to a person who may not deal with word chakra or don't want, you don't have to use it. You could say endocrine system, your pancreas, your adrenal, your thyroid. I guarantee you, everybody in the Black community right now knows what a thyroid is, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
on thyroid medication.
Right.
So instead of saying throat chakra, I'm going to say this is going to work your thyroid
Right.
and help balance the energy in your thyroid. Oh, I need that, baby, because I'm taking thyroid medication.
Right.
See, mathematics is Islam, and
Right.
Islam is mathematics. it could be proven at no limit of time. You're supposed to be able to speak the language of the people. Otherwise,
Right.
you won't be successful. So I don't go to them speaking words that they don't understand.
Right.
So I just shift it and change it up, when I'm dealing with people who may not know those words that I was talking to you about just now.
Right.
And it's a good success rate when we do it that way.
Yes, ma'am. So by way of environment, because it's clear the
Yeah.
environment in which we live, like parts of America, just like there's no life there. Like you can have, say, spiritual teaching and spiritual information and illuminating books, but as soon as you leave your front door, you're engulfed by death. And obviously, your work is to try to resurrect and to bring life and to give life to those who are dead. Okay. But at some point, can you actually be overcome, even if you're a living being full of life?
Mhm.
How easy is it, or what does one do to mitigate against being overwhelmed by being surrounded by death to prevent death from now overwhelming you?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point you bring up, about the environment. The environment is directly connected to the people in that environment. A thought is one of these books that Brother Jabril gave me in the 90s to study was called The Quest for a Theory of Everything by Stephen Hawkins. And The Quest for a Theory of Everything dealt with uh, four principles that govern universe, right? Gravity, electromagnetism, strong force, weak force. Okay, your thoughts are electrical. That's why when you have a brain injury, they have all these wires to your head. They're trying to, see if there's any activity, right?
Right,
Electrical current, right?
right,
When your heart stops, if you were not energy, like a battery, if a battery goes dead, I'm going to connect it to another battery to
right,
jumpstart it, right? So
right,
why do they place an electric current at the heart to jumpstart the heart if the heart is not electricity?
right,
Okay. So I'm not going to put a piece of
right.
wood to make something that, you know what I'm saying? So the heart, the heart is magnetism. It's magnetic. What you think is electrical, what you feel is magnetic, attracting. So together, your thought and your emotion is sending a signal. We are like a cell phone tower.
Right,
We're always emitting a signal, a vibration. So thought, electric, feelings, magnetic. So what I'm thinking and feeling is creating a vibration. And they say that the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain when it comes to electromagnetism, and that what you feel can be measured 10 miles radius. This
right,
is scientific study. Now, if it's measured 10 miles, if what I'm feeling and thinking is measured 10 miles radius, 10 miles is a neighborhood.
yes, ma'am.
So why do I go down Stony Island in Chicago and I pass through so many different vibrations and I'm on the same block, I'm on the same street. It's one is depressed, one is good, then it's when by the time you get to the mosque, it feels a little bit better. but, but then when you go back and you keep going down toward Hyde Park and back toward the lake, now you're in Hyde Park and it's totally different.
Right,
It's a higher vibration. People,
right,
it's Black people, but they're conscious. Each community is vibrate is manifesting. The sum, their condition is a sum total of what they're thinking and what they're feeling. They
Right.
themselves are the reason the community is in that. Because you could see that same community, and then all of a sudden you see that abandoned building, and now somebody's come and they tore it down, and now it's a whole different type of environment. And then you see white women jogging. What? Then you see in the same hood, and nobody bothers them.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Black
Right.
woman jogging, because we're attracted to ourselves because we fear, right? So we are creating the environment. Now, if you're in an environment like that, I remember when I started at the Final Call newspaper, I used to get sick going into the Final Call. Now, I did not know, it didn't dawn on me that was used to be a funeral home. Okay.
Right.
There's a lot of dead bodies up in there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Came through.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
we're doing the resurrection work. Okay, fine. Okay, got it.
From
But
from a funeral parlor.
then spaces hold energy though.
Right.
Spaces hold vibration and frequency.
Right.
Okay. Just like, in the neighborhood, it's a vibration, isn't it? You're picking up on the people's fear. You're picking up on the fact that they're in survival.
Right.
When you're in survival, you're the part of the brain that is working is the amygdala. That's in the back of the brain. That deals with fight or flight. I have a potential danger facing me. Do I flee? Do I stay? Do I fight? That when that part of the brain is lit up, then the front part of the brain, which is the prefrontal lobe, that deals with, proper thinking, creative ideas. That's not working. That's dull. And this part is lit because it's danger. So now everything, my adrenals, everything is going because I have to think about how I'm going to survive. That's a good thing to have the way Allah has created us. The problem is when you stay in that. And in our communities, we are constantly in a state of survival.
Right.
We are constantly feeling threat.
Right.
So a creative thought can't even come.
Right.
It's impossible because the part of the brain that deals with that is dull.
Right.
It's not working right because you're in the back of the brain. So you don't know, well, why can't these kids learn? Well, because those kids live in a war zone.
Right.
So Russell Simmons, one of my mentors, we took meditation into the schools in the city of Chicago, in some of the worst areas, war zones. We called it Quiet Time. It was through the David Lynch Foundation, Transcendental Meditation. And what we were given a grant from the University of Chicago to see if meditation would help decrease the amount of in-school arrests, because these kids were getting arrested in school. The results were staggering. We meditated with them twice a day, 20 minutes a day, in the morning and then afternoon before they left school. They started to come up with different ways to resolve conflict. They said that it was the only time that they could find quiet, because at home they had no time for quiet. It was just not. And it was so many benefits that these children were able to get just from creating an environment where they could get quiet. Now, if you live in an environment like this, okay, there is such a thing as overcoming your environment. It does take discipline. It does take your like, you really have to be on it. Meditation is a key. You can visualize yourself and try to, and if you maintain your vibration, which is really an internal job, it's not outward. That's
But
affecting.
whilst you're transforming then yourself, do you not have to then also, as you're overcoming, do you not also have to transform the environment to maintain the transformative or transformation process? Because if you evolve as an individual, but your environment stays the same, then at some point it's going to undo you, right? So
Right,
coming
exactly.
into,
That's
sorry,
why you could first start with your room. Let's say if you're a teenager or whatever. You live in a little room, or you can start with your house. You can do things to raise the vibration in that house. Okay. Plants, okay, color, paint, different
right,
things. Be amazed what paint can do.
right,
Okay. It change frequency, like you got a whole new place. Paint, flowers, different things. And a lot of people are saging now, using the sage to clear vibration and clear energy. Yes, they are. So you can start there. Okay, when I come in my house, okay, it's a sanctuary. You could say that. You could
yeah,
create that. All right. Now, will you, if you choose to stay in the hood, let's say you choose to stay, most people leave, right?
right,
Once they get to a certain level, they leave
right,
because you can be overcome by it, right? Vibrationally, even the minister stays in at the farm mostly. He doesn't even come into Chicago anymore. So that's
right,
it. Why did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have a home out in Phoenix, Arizona? Okay. So leaving out of that environment where it was cold, it was bad on his health, hmm, bronchitis and all of those things, but he was able to find relief out in. So there is a such thing as being. That's why in our lessons it say he saved the best part for himself. He didn't care about the poor part.
right.
So we do want to live in better environments. Can we shift the energy in the communities that we live in? Absolutely.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
started in the community where Emmett Till's home is, where he left when he was 14. That home has now become a historic landmark. But 2 blocks over, there's a war zone going on in that area where the GDs and two very famous Chicago rappers were murdered in the last few years. And there's a war zone over there. So what we did in 2 blocks over in that neighborhood, we opened the Salam Community Wellness Center. The Salam Community Wellness Center is the first integrative medical center in the city of Chicago that is addressing mental health, addiction, food disparities for Black people, owned and operated by Muslims. Money put up by brother, oh my goodness, why I can't think of his name at this moment. Formerly Brother Kurt, if you're from Chicago, you know who I'm talking about, Brother Akbar. $750,000 put up. He owns that whole block. Next door is Sister Carmela's place, Foodies, the
Right,
restaurant. Then
right,
outside there's a garden where we're doing urban gardening. Inside we're taking Chinese medicine, energy medicine, naturopathic medicine, along with MDs, all Black practitioners who are female, by the way, it's
right,
majority female, since we're talking about the role of the woman in the healing. And running that by Dr. Constance Shabazz, who was in the nation prior to 75 and used to work for Muhammad Speak newspaper. These are followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're at the forefront of changing the narrative in that community. So even just that vibration coming from that facility, it should be shifting that environment, right?
right,
So we can do that. That's why you have all these construction projects and rehabbing. It's about reinvesting in those communities where most of our people live. They can stay in their communities, but they can bring something new out of those communities. You see it popping up all over places in the city of Chicago, especially on the South Side, urban gardening and living and, sustainable living. So there is movement. So to answer your question, yes. there's something you can do if you feel like you are in a community like that and you don't live, where you can go to the ocean or things like that. You can go to Lake Michigan, you can find something. Bullshit.
So before I bring in Sylvina, before I bring in Sylvina, I just want to ask you in regards to the juxtaposing, if you will, of this level of spirituality through yoga, through Reiki, through meditation, versus the general principles that most people are accustomed to. Okay.
Okay.
Making 5 prayers and going through the various rituals and even engage in vicaring and making du'as. How do you juxtapose, if you will, or really teach those who are limited to the time they stay in prayer, as opposed to what you have really done, which is to be a part of the extension of that state in which one is in when one is going into prayer, because it's a whole cleansing process when you're going into prayer. But what I'm hearing from you is that process from which you enter into during a time of prayer. It's meditative. It's all of those things that you mentioned. But you seem as if what you're advocating is for us to come up out of prayer, but to stay in a prayerly state and maintain that type of aura as we get up from our particular state of devotion to the living God. How would you unpack that?
You said it so perfectly. The minister said when they tried to accuse him of, oh, Farrakhan, you don't make prayer 5 times a day. The minister said, I walk in prayer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, the rituals are just pointing us to something.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an inward thing. The real Jew is not the Jew outwardly.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the Jew inwardly. By what? Of the heart. Allah doesn't change the condition of people till we change ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's a heart. That's at the heart level. So I could be, oh man, oh yeah, that sister, she's always she's this, she's that, or always in her uniform, blah, blah, blah. And we think that is righteousness. Righteousness is not an outwardly thing.
Right.
It's an inwardly thing.
Right.
And so what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell Mother Tanetta when she asked him about how to tune in? That process. He told her to go somewhere and get in a quiet space and be still and quiet. Meditation is just that. Mm-hmm. You're just quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
I know they have a lot of different forms and mantras or whatever you want to do. Yes. The best form of meditation is quiet.
Yes.
Be still and know that I am God.
In this time, we hand out time for stressing. In this time, we should all be investing. Getting knowledge should never be rejected. Every week, did you get that message? Get your ticket today, it don't take a second. Every Thursday, get 7. It's time to make this earth into heaven. So need to worry, there's a blessing. No need for second guessing, it's a spiritual injection. It's a spiritual.